The best example I can give you of some horror movie fun is probably when William Castle, drinking coffee near the Samuel Goldwyn studio, saw Vincent Price and offered him the lead role in a movie about a millionaire who invites 6 people to spend the night in a haunted house. Castle secured the actor's services with his description of the film's climax. Your skeleton scares the shit out of your wife and she loses her balance and falls into the vat of acid. The film was of course House on Haunted Hill, whose on-screen ghosts were manifested in theatres as wire-supported inflatable skeletons that emerged at crucial moments to frighten the audience. It was a cheap, semi-satirical picture, part ghost train ride and part publicity stunt, but the idea that horror could be silly, gimmicky, tongue-in-cheek fun was an appealing one, and has become part and parcel of the genre ever since. So here are 10 more movies that have that special brand of nonsense running through their veins then. Horror doesn't have to all be doom and gloom, after all. I am the children's entertainer, Ash from What Culture Horror, and these are 10 fun horror films you need to see. 10. Blood Diner. Blood Diner is your typical story of 2 brothers who, years after their serial killer uncle died in a police shooting, decide to resurrect him as a talking brain in a jar. He then tells them to resurrect a Lemurian goddess by calling her forth at a blood buffet, where her spirit must be summoned into a body stitched together from the cadavers of murder victims. A film that delights in its childishness, revels in its cartoonish outrageousness, and never goes over the top when it can ascend into the stratosphere instead, Blood Diner is a pseudo-sequel to Herschel Gordon Lewis's Blood Feast. According to the godfather of gore himself, he was due to helm a straight sequel, which he did years later, but in the meantime, Jackie Kong, this picture's director, had other plans. A volatile director dubbed Queen Kong by cast and crew, she often pulled colleagues aside for Kongfrontation, a word seen on a billboard in one sequence, which perhaps explains the level of frantic energy that permeates the film. Blood Diner might be clumsy, mean-spirited and offensive, but you have to admit, it is never boring. 9. Piranha 3 Double D. Double D swims free, says the owner of Big Wet Water Park, where strippers have replaced lifeguards and can be ogled on the Cooch Cam. This is a very expensive joke, someone tells him, and that is this sequel in a nutshell. It is $20 million worth of toilet humour for people who thought Piranha 3D was too thoughtful. That this is going to be a more playful affair becomes apparent with the arrival of the greatest lifeguard of all time, David Hasselhoff, who turns up and announces, "Welcome to Rock Bottom." He pokes fun at himself and at Baywatch, runs in slow motion, and watches a child get decapitated by a flying piranha, which must be some kind of first. Blood, phallocentric humour, and all of the naked starlets usually in trauma movies can be found aplenty. Oh, and some, actual piranhas or something do turn up too. 8. Cockneys vs. Zombies. As the title suggests, this is another British zombie comedy, but that's where the similarities to Shaun of the Dead end. Shaun was a quaint British film that just happened to feature walking cadavers, and Cockneys vs. Zombies is its East End cousin. The ruder, cruder, and decidedly lewder relative that's more interested in exploding heads than romantic subplots. When the dead start to rise, Andy and Terry fear for the safety of Ray, the grandfather that raised them after their hippie parents unwisely took on police marksmen with assault rifles. Long story. So they decide to set off on a rescue mission, after robbing a bank, of course. This is The Walking Dead scripted by Ricky Gervais, and your enjoyment will depend upon watching British TV veterans portraying octogenarian zombie killers. Gone are Shaun of the Dead's cricket bats and polite humour, and in come decapitations, raucous jokes, plus one-time bionic woman Michelle Ryan as a leather-clad, samurai sword-wielding locksmith. Why not? It is not gentle or genteel, but it is loads of fun. 7. Saturday Morning Mystery. What if there really was a group that drove around in a van solving mysteries, just like Mystery Incorporated in Scooby-Doo? Would the police threaten to arrest them for wasting their time? What would happen if they encountered murderously hungry children in a supposedly haunted house? Does that sound like a case for the gang? Well, that is the premise of Saturday Morning Mystery, which does something unique. After starting out as a parody, it ratchets up the scares and turns into a balls-to-the-wall horror film. Usually, particularly in this era of sequels and reboots, it's the other way around. To some, Spencer Parsons' movie should have won some awards, launched the careers of its stars, and made Parsons a man to watch, but unfairly disappeared into the ether and got lost among 1,000,001 other titles. To others, though, it is just a way of playing out weird Scooby-Doo fantasies. Ugh. 6. Poultrygeist, Night of the Chicken Dead. Yes, this is another zombie comedy, but Poultrygeist has so much more going for it, including some surprisingly barbed satire, as well as the kind of gore-drenched slapstick you simply don't see in multiplex horror movies. You see, by building an American chicken bunker on a sacred burial ground, big business has caused themselves one big old issue. Chicken zombies will now walk the earth for revenge. As they attack the diner, breast implants are ripped out, a priest attempts to defeat them by brandishing a Mel Gibson DVD, and a fry cook has his pride and joy torn off. And just to top it all off, whenever testicles aren't being fried and eaten and the talking sandwich is off screen, characters are bursting into song. If you weren't sold on the ridiculous pun of a title alone, then just let that new level of nonsense wash over you. 5. From Beyond the Grave. According to Hollywood, anthology films never work and fail commercially, so it fell to Amicus to make the pictures that came to define the genre. Dr. Terror's House of Horrors, Torture Garden, The House That Dripped Blood, etc., the most fun of which is From Beyond the Grave. Clever, atmospheric, and at times very funny, the film comprises 4 stories linked by Peter Cushing's antique shop, Temptations Limited, which has lots of bargains, all taste catered to, and a big novelty surprise comes with every purchase. The guest stars include David Warner, who purchases a haunted mirror, Donald Pleasance, who shows a child an act of kindness by murdering his parents, and Ian Ogilvy, who installs a door that opens to another dimension. Special mention, however, must be made of Margaret Leighton as Madame Orloff, a flaky clairvoyant who specialises in exorcising elementals. 4. Rec 3 Genesis. Relocating the narrative to a wedding where zombies are unleashed on the guests, director Paco Plaza ditches the po-faced seriousness of the previous installments and instead opts for the playful, cartoonish tone of Robert Rodriguez's Planet Terror. Rec 1 and 2 are masterful in their own right, so this is a far cry from what was established in the series so far. Fans of air-quote serious horror will not be enamoured with scenes where zombies are killed with egg whisks, nor of a character who calls himself Sponge John because Sponge Bob was taken. Whatever your feelings though, one thing's for certain. Rec 3 will never be mistaken for any other film in the franchise. Just whether that's a good thing or not is absolutely up to you. 3. Deadheads. Brett and Drew Pierce are the sons of Bart Pierce, who handled special effects photography on The Evil Dead, and their debut feature contains all the slapstick, entrails, and gross-out gags that you'd expect from such a legacy. Deadheads is another zombie movie that flips the genre on its head, following 2 coherent zombies as they attempt to figure out what life means for them now that they're dead. Having been absent from the land of the living for 3 years, Brent realises he has missed the Transformers movies, which is all that worries him about returning from the grave. His buddy Mike, however, has just found the wedding ring he was going to put on his girlfriend's finger, which sets him wondering what his old flame might be doing and what she might see in him now. So begins a road trip in search of his lost love, during which our heroes are joined by Cheats, a non-speaking zombie of the traditional variety because everyone needs a mascot. If you're tired of The Walking Dead, then this is probably where you get off. 2. John Dies at the End. John Dies at the End is as close to an actual trip as any filmmaker has yet committed to celluloid. And once it gets going, the constant flow of mind-bending invention never falters, never feels forced, phony, or pretentious. When David Wong sits down to talk to reporter Arnie, he spins a whacked-out tale about body-snatching beings from other dimensions, a talking dog, phone calls from the future, and a celebrity psychic who can destroy a creature made from cuts of meat by shouting at it. David and his friend John Cheese are no strangers to such phenomena, having acquired a reputation as paranormal investigators. But when John dies mysteriously and starts communicating with his friend from the afterlife, he leads David to a drug known as soy sauce that imbues the user with incredible powers, including the ability to transcend reality as we know it. To reveal too much more would be unthinkable, though there is also a battle with a vast artificial intelligence in an alternate timeline, obviously. 1. The Tingler. To ensure audience participation in the Tingler, William Castle devised Percepto, the gimmick where random seats were fitted with war surplus motors that caused them to vibrate at key moments during the film. In a prologue, the director informed viewers that if they became aware of a tingling sensation during the picture, they could obtain immediate relief by screaming. While researching the effects of fear on human beings, Dr. Warren Chapin becomes convinced that there is something inside every frightened person that's as solid as steel. Using his cheating wife as a guinea pig, he discovers the Tingler, the organism that attaches to the spine in moments of terror and can only be released by screaming. If someone died unable to scream, their body would contain a perfect Tingler specimen. Yeah, there is a whole load of film here that is peak cheesy B-movie goodness, but the most fun part is absolutely that cinema goers were convinced of the Tingler's existence by the motor machinations set up in their seats. It is one thing to make a movie gimmick, it's entirely another to bring it to life with this much conviction. And that's our list. What other fun horror movies belong on this list? Share your thoughts in the comments section below. I've been Ash over on social media at Ash Millman, and this has been What Culture. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and come back again soon for some more spine-tingling horror content. Thanks for watching.